Hello everyone, welcome back to the Student Pilot Cast. Here's another episode from OSH 2022. This one is the second of two interviews I did with the state of Oklahoma, and in this one I got to talk to Grayson Ardies, who's the director of the Oklahoma Aerospace Commission. Enjoy episode 62, OK OAC.
Chandler Tower, Cherokee 4121 Tango is at Chandler Air Service. We have Zulu, and we'd like a south departure, please.
What does it take to be an angel? Where does the sun go when it sleeps? Is every star that shines so brightly in the sky another promise I must keep? I know I should by now. It isn't written in the stars, just shadows, dreams, and...
As I said before, I spoke with Grayson Ardies from the Aeronautics Commission of Oklahoma to see what they're up to over there about aeronautics and aviation and what they're doing to promote it in the state. I'm recording this audio remotely again in a hotel room, so apologies for any sound quality issues. I happen to be in Houston this time, but hoping to be back in the SPC home base studio in Arizona more often. In case you didn't know, we're also releasing most of the Oshkosh content as video too on our fledgling YouTube channel called, creatively, Student Pilot Cast. I'll put a link to this episode's counterpart in the show notes, but it's video episode 6 Delta, which is also in the video podcast feed. But I'd encourage you to watch it on YouTube, as I can make the quality better over there without the download file for the podcast being way too massive. Also, our YouTube channel is very, very new and very small right now, and not many people know about it. So like I said, I'd love some comments, likes, and subscriptions, but it's always your call. I want to talk for just a minute to my favorite listener. You know who you are. Yep, you. I'd love it if you went over to the YouTube channel and at least subscribed, but comments, shares, and likes help a whole bunch too. All right, the rest of you can start listening again. And I hope you all enjoyed the discussion. Here you go.
Welcome back, SPC listeners. We're here for another feature at OSH 2022, and I have the pleasure of being here with Grayson Ardies from Oklahoma. What is your role?
So I'm the director of the Oklahoma Aeronautical Commission. We're a state agency in Oklahoma for all things aviation, aerospace, and in our airport system.
All right. Well, I always like to start with the personal.
Yep.
You are a pilot?
I am a pilot. So I went through the great University of Oklahoma's aviation program, graduated in 2009, got all my flight certificates, private pilot, commercial pilot, multi-engine, CFI, instrument rating. It was some of the best times I've ever had learning to be a flying student at University of Oklahoma.
Awesome. So you stayed in aviation. You didn't go somewhere else, as some do. What do you like to fly?
Pretty much anything that goes in the air. You know, at this point in time in my life, I can't be picky. So I beg, borrow, and steal my way into whatever airplanes people allow me to fly, whether it's Cessna 182s, Cherokee 140s, Cirrus, or even a multi-engine. I had an opportunity to fly a Navajo for several hours. Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Very good. We were just talking about this, but you haven't flown the approach here into Oshkosh before. Maybe next year?
Maybe. That is on my bucket list to actually fly into Oshkosh. I've flown around Oshkosh, but I actually haven't flown into Oshkosh and landed on one of the dots yet. So maybe next year I'll get to check that box.
It's certainly an experience, and when you hear that controller say, "Nice job, welcome to Oshkosh," makes it all worth it.
It does. That's so I've heard from others that have flown in here that it's very stressful, but once you get on the ground, it's like this wave of emotion just comes over, and you're like, I'm here.
That's true. All right, tell me a little bit about what the state of Oklahoma is doing, what you're doing in your role to promote aviation, and especially as it pertains to helping people get into aviation and learn how to be a pilot or other jobs in the industry. What are you doing in Oklahoma that's maybe different from other states?
Absolutely. So in Oklahoma, we have a rich aviation heritage. So we all know about Wiley Post. Some probably heard about Pearl Carter Scott. More recently, you have General Tom Stafford, great astronaut in promoting the space program. Even though we're a new state, fairly new state when it comes to the state of Oklahoma, we have a long heritage in aviation. It's our second largest industry $44 billion a year annual economic impact. We are known as the MRO state, maintenance, repair, and overhaul. So we make parts, we fix parts, we keep airplanes up in the air, whether it's Tinker Air Force Base, American Airlines, the FAA Monroney Center. But our number one challenge in Oklahoma is workforce. Just like the entire industry is experiencing right now across the country and really across the world, workforce is our number one challenge. So how do we get people excited about the aviation career field?
So
Thank you to the
regularly
Aircraft
affect
Owners and Pilots
thousands of students
Association
every
for
single
starting
year.
the You Can Fly
The
program
issue
about
is
6 years
we
ago.
may
We had
only
one
get to
school in
touch them for a
Oklahoma
week during a summer
field
camp.
testing.
We
I
may
think you're
only get
interviewing
to
the gentleman that's
show
teaching it
them a
there
day or two
today.
with a Young Eagles
Ada,
flight.
Oklahoma started
This
one in
AOPA
about
program
4
is
years
gonna be the
ago.
entire 4 years
Today,
of
we
their
now
high
have
school
57
career.
schools across
And
the state of
so it really gives
Oklahoma
them that
teaching
full
that
immersion
curriculum, number
experience.
one
I
in
know
the
I would have loved to
country,
have had that going
and
through
really
high school
leading the
instead of taking
charge to
general
ensure
physics
that our
or a
workforce
general
is
math
going to
class
be
that I
ready
could
for the
go
future.
make it
Our
directly
Department of
applicable to
Commerce, who's
aviation
here
and
with us,
aerospace,
would have been
at the
absolutely
Oshkosh Air
amazing.
Show.
I
We're out
agree.
recruiting
So,
companies
and
to try and
fortunately,
come
we
to
all got into
Oklahoma.
aviation
Throughout
without
the
those, but I'm
pandemic,
hopeful
Oklahoma was
that
seen as a
the
flight
aviation
to
classes
state
will spur
for
that many more
businesses and
people
entities
into
wanting
taking it.
to
The two things
relocate
right now that
and
we're seeing that are
expand
really
their potential in
generating some
Oklahoma.
excitement in the industry, of
And so
course,
obviously that
drones,
means more
UAS,
workers,
AAM
more people.
is the
We'll have
big thing. A lot of
folks that
kids
retire
are
and
joining
come
the
in
industry
industry.
because of that.
And so
And the
we're
other is the
hoping that
commercial
the
space
You Can Fly
transportation
program,
sector.
along with
You kind
other
of we've
programs
heard back in the
that
60s and
support
70s we had the space race, between us and the Soviets was a very big energy lifter for the aviation and aerospace industry. Everybody wanted to go support their country. Commercial space transportation is kind of bringing that back throughout the whole of the industry, and we're seeing that in Oklahoma too, especially considering we have a spaceport out in western Oklahoma.
Very cool. So you've been partnering with AOPA. You brought in the Learn to Fly program in a big way. I think you're doing more of those high school programs than any other state. Is that correct?
That is correct. Number one in the country. Very proud of it.
Perfect. So what has it been like to work with AOPA through this process, and what do you think of the curriculum in the program?
So in Oklahoma, we've known workforce is a big challenge. We've been looking for a adoptable 4-year curriculum to put in our high schools for probably at least going back 2 decades, if not longer. We've always tried as a state to do that, and we just couldn't put it together because of the cost, because of the complexity, and I'm just so thankful for AOPA willing to invest and do this curriculum for free for schools all across the country. And so I think the curriculum is top-notch. All the teachers we've talked to in Oklahoma love it. We just were able to host the teacher training for AOPA, first time they've taken it out of Frederick, Maryland. We had that about 3 weeks ago in Oklahoma. Mark Baker, president of AOPA, was there in the great state of Oklahoma. We're glad to have him. I'm just so excited about what AOPA can offer, and I'm just so thankful that they're able to undertake this because the cost of it is significant to do something like this. And like I said, we've tried in Oklahoma. We just could never get there, and so I'm glad that AOPA was able to do this and then spread that out to the entire country.
Yeah, I'm sure they're taking a lot of feedback from you. Is the program sort of evolving as you work together?
Yes, so one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out what other states can do this too. I mean, obviously we're glad to be number one in Oklahoma and love that, but one of the best forms of flattery is other people trying to emulate what you're doing, and so we're trying to share that news with other states, with other state aviation agencies to say, hey, you guys need to look at this in your state, look at what Oklahoma's doing, try and emulate that because it's going to be a team effort. This isn't just state to state, it's going to be the entire country trying to solve the workforce challenges of getting more pilots, mechanics, flight attendants, engineers, the whole gamut.
Yeah, and maybe you can poach some of those to come work in Oklahoma at some point.
Well, that's what we're here for. Telling the story about what Oklahoma has to offer. Oklahoma's a great state, great place to live. Been there my whole life, and the hardest challenge we have is getting people to the state. People think of Oklahoma, they're like, well, I don't want to go to Oklahoma. What's Oklahoma have to offer? But once we get people here, they're sold immediately. It's that aura of just really good, personable, friendly people willing to open up their doors and roll out the red carpet and just make them feel like they're part of the family from the first moment they've stepped in the state.
Perfect. Well, Grayson, thank you very much. We really appreciate the time today, and best of luck to you in the program.
Thank you. Appreciate this.
Like I said in our previous episode, Oklahoma is absolutely killing it right now, driving results and getting participation in aviation programs. So let's hope for their continued success. And I really do appreciate the state of Oklahoma for its leadership in this area. And I hope more and more people, places, organizations keep doing what they're doing and do it even better. If you missed it, check out my episode with Chris Eckler, who's a high school teacher in the state of Oklahoma, who not only has been teaching his students through the AOPA I Can Fly curriculum, but he went through the program and the flight training himself. Pretty cool episode. In the meantime, let me know what you think about this, and I would love stories of others helping to attract all kinds of people, especially youth, into aviation. It always piques my interest, and I'd love to investigate and celebrate all of the successes we see out there. You can reach out to me via email at bill@studentpilotcast.com, or you can use the contact form on the website, which is at studentpilotcast.com/contact. You can find me on Twitter using @BillWill, that's Bravo India Lima Lima Whiskey India Lima. And as usual, I'd love to hear from you. I've definitely got more content coming from AirVenture 2022 as well as other places and sources, so keep watching that podcast feed. Whoever you are, and no matter how you listen or watch, we'd love to have you stay with the SPC family and enjoy what we've got coming. Until the next one, though, keep your head in the game, learn something more about flying. I'll catch you soon.
Music for today's episode is To Be an Angel by the Canadian band Uncle Seth. You can get more information and subscribe to the podcast feeds on the web at studentpilotcast.com. Remember, any instruction that you hear in this podcast was meant for me and for me alone in the situation I was in at the time. Please do not try to blindly apply anything you see or hear in this podcast to your own flying without thinking it through on your own completely. If you have questions about any aspect of your flying, please consult a qualified CFI.